The FLM starts from the mountains, where a man was taking some slaves with him. The slaves' legs were tied with chains. And this was the time of 1858. This was the time when the tradition of keeping slaves was there and a lot of oppression was done on them. As these slaves walked, the night fell. The man who was taking these slaves with him, saw that a man was sitting on a horse-drawn cart from afar. Now the man who had the slaves, says that the man who was on the horse-drawn cart, "Stop there, otherwise I will shoot you." But the man sitting on the horse-drawn cart says, "I have come to make a deal of slaves. If you are the same man who has slaves, then we can make a deal. Do you have any such slave who is from the plantation? That is, if you have worked before planting trees and plants." Then the man says that yes, "I am from the plantation." The man on the horse-drawn cart quickly goes to him. This was a doctor, who was also called Dr. King. Now he asks his name from that slave. His name was Django. Dr. King asks about 3 brothers from Django. The owner of the plantation tells him everything correctly. The doctor was now convinced that the slave he was looking for is here. He is the same. He asks Django, "Do you want to go to the plantation with me?" He says yes. Actually, Django's wife was kept there as a slave. And he wanted to free his wife at any cost. Dr. King wanted to take all the slaves from here. But the man of whom all these slaves were, was also refusing to talk to Dr. King. The doctor gets very angry at this and shoots and kills the owner of the slaves. After which all the slaves were released. Dr. King takes Django to the city. He says now you are free and you can live your life freely. Everyone was very surprised to see this. Because Django was a very old slave. After which the doctor takes him to a bar and says that you are not completely free now. Here Dr. King tells him that I am a bounty hunter. I am a hunter and I am looking for 3 brothers. Then the sheriff goes outside the bar and says that you cannot keep Django with you like this. And he knew everything about the night. Dr. King comes out of the bar and shoots the sheriff and takes Django from here. On the way, he asks Dr. Django about his wife. He says that the 3 brothers you are asking me about. They had me and my wife as slaves. One day we both tried to run away. I ran away but my wife was caught. Then those people sent her to the plantation. Now Dr. King also goes to the plantation with Django in search of those 3 brothers. He knew that no one would let him go inside. That's why Dr. King makes himself a slave buyer and presents Django as his servant. Now the doctor went inside but Django was outside. Then he sees 2 brothers from them and kills them. After which the doctor kills the 3rd brother when he sees him. As soon as he hears the sound of the bullet, the owner of the place comes and starts killing the doctor. Then Dr. King shows him a paper in which it was clearly written that the 3 brothers should be killed. Actually, Dr. King only killed those people who were ordered by the government who were very cruel people. And because of them, the lives of innocent people were lost. He shows the warrant and after seeing the paper, the owner of the place doesn't say anything to them. And lets them go. But in his heart, there was hatred against Django and the doctor. Because these 2 killed his 3 special men. That's why the owner of the place tells his men not to let them go out of the city. The doctor also knew that the owner of this place would not let us go so easily. That's why he doesn't sit in his horse carriage anymore. When the people of that man surround the doctor's horse carriage from all sides, then the doctor blasts a bomb in it. Because of which many people of that man die. The doctors sitting far away were also watching. They also had Django. They ask him, "Can you do all this?" On which he takes a gun and shoots the owner of that place. The doctor is very happy to see him doing this. He tells Django that I want you to work with me. Once my purpose is fulfilled, then I will help you to get your wife released. Django agrees to this deal because he wanted to get his wife released at any cost. After which they kill a lot of people together. Actually, the doctor only hunted those people. He used to kill them only. On whom the government used to keep a reward for catching the dead or alive. In the same way, The doctor used to kill them and earn money. One day when they went hunting, a man was working in the field. His younger son was also with him. The doctor says that we have to kill this man. Django says that that man's son is still young. We can't kill him. He says that you don't want to kill this man who has killed many innocent people. He is a very cruel man. You will have to kill him. And don't think that his son is young. He also shows the warrant of that man. After hearing this, Django kills him. The doctor had earned a lot of money because of Django. And he had become a rich man. Because Django was an expert in aiming, he had become a very good bounty hunter. Now the doctor tells him that according to the deal, I want to get your wife released, which is in the plantation. But all this was not so easy. The owner of the plantation, whose name was Calvin, along with being rich, he was also a bad and cruel man. But the doctor knew that Calvin fought the slaves, which was also his hobby. The doctor says that after meeting Calvin, I will say that I fight the slaves. And I will make you my fighter and introduce you to him. After which they both reach the place where Calvin was fighting the slaves. After meeting Dr. Calvin, he says that I also like to fight. And I want to buy your best fighter slave. Calvin says, oh good. So how much will you buy my slave? He says $12,000. Actually, it was very expensive in those days. Calvin is very happy to hear such a big amount. And then he takes the doctor and Django to the plantation, where he used to get the slaves to plant trees and plants, where Django and his wife were also kept. Now when they reach that place, they see that Calvin's slave was trying to run away. He leaves the dogs behind him, who were cutting him badly. They injure him. Then after that Calvin takes them to his luxurious palace, where he introduces them to his sister and his special servant. After meeting all the doctors, he says that I am very tired. I want to rest and I also want the girl. Calvin here accepts the doctor's words, and says to send Django's wife. Here it is shown that Django's wife was locked in a steel box. Hot water is poured on it, because of which her body was burning. All this was being done with her because she tried to run away from here. That's why she was punished like this. After all this, Django's wife is prepared and presented in front of the doctor. When she goes in front of him, the doctor talks to her in German, because he knew that Django's wife knows German language. After which the doctor tells her the whole truth, that your husband and I have come here to free you. Now he also calls Django there. When she sees Django standing in front of her, she is so happy that she becomes unconscious with happiness. At night, they all eat with Calvin, where Django's wife was also giving food to everyone with the servants. Django and these two were looking at each other. Everyone felt that Django liked this maid. But here Calvin's special servant finds out that something is wrong. He was suspecting the doctor and Django, that they both have come here because of this, and want to free this girl. After eating there, the doctor tells Calvin that now let's talk about the deal. I will buy your best fighter. But at the same time, I also want that girl who you sent to my room last night. That is, the doctor was talking about Django's wife here. Calvin also listens to them and says, okay, I have no objection. You can take it. But his special servant tells Calvin, I think these people have come to us under some conspiracy. They have not come to buy a fighter. Rather, they have come to free your servant from here. I think they already know about that girl. Buying a fighter is just an excuse. Calvin says, okay, if that is the case, then we will collect money from them in return. After which Calvin goes out, and hits Django's wife on the head and says, I will kill her. Calvin says that if you want this girl, then you will have to give me $12,000 in return. I will kill her. The doctor listens to him. In return, he gives Calvin $12,000, and gets Calvin to sign on Django's wife's freedom papers. Before leaving, the doctor tells Calvin that you are a cruel person. But he does not answer any of the doctor's questions. Then while leaving, He tells the doctor that you will not shake hands with me. If you do not shake hands with me, then I will think that our deal is not done. The doctor says no, I will not shake hands with you. Calvin tells his men that if they leave without shaking hands with me, then our deal is not done. And you kill her. Hearing all this, the doctor says, okay, I will shake hands with you. As soon as they go to Calvin, he has a gun in his hand. They shoot Calvin. The bullet hits Calvin directly on the heart. Death takes place there. His special servant is also very sad, he starts crying holding Calvin there. That servant gets so angry that he shoots the doctor too. Now the doctor had also died. Both of their grandchildren had taken their lives. Django also gets very angry at the doctor's death. He shoots and kills all the men there. But after a while, his gun bullets also run out. Now these people who were Calvin's companions, they catch Django's wife. After which Django also has to surrender himself to them. They kill him a lot, he is treated very cruelly. Because of this, he becomes unconscious. When he comes to his senses, he sees that he was in a mining company. He was made a slave again. Once again, he gets away from his wife. He tells the people here that I am not a slave, but a free man. And he has been cheated with them. I don't even know how to be a slave, I'm a bounty hunter. He now tells those men about a man who is a great reward for killing. He tells them to join me. We will kill him together and make a lot of money. They all agree to what Django says and give him their weapons. As soon as Django gets the weapons, he kills all three men. And leaves from here. He first goes to the plantation from here. He kills those men who had left the dogs on the slave. After this, he goes to his wife. His wife is very happy to see him. Then he goes to the place where the doctor's corpse was found. He takes the paper from there in which he wrote about his wife's freedom. Calvin had signed on it. Django's heart was very angry with the doctor's death. Because the doctor had supported him a lot. He goes to Calvin's house, where all his relatives were present, who had come in the grief of Calvin's death. He kills everyone here, and tells all the slaves here that everyone should be free. Calvin had a special servant here. Django shoots him in both his feet, so that he can walk. Then he takes his wife out of Calvin's palace, after which he blows up the whole palace with a bomb. Calvin's servant dies inside. At the end of the movie, it is shown that Django takes his wife on a horse and leaves through the jungle. They were both going home, because they were free now, and could happily live their free life. And with this the movie ends here.